Okay, everybody, welcome to our InDesign class. And what we will be doing tonight is we will be preparing our assignment for the week. Essentially, we're going to create a catalog page. We have some photos and copy that's been provided to create this catalog. We also have a demonstration piece to show you what the actual piece looks like, which we're going to use as a template to make things easier for you. And one of the things that a couple of the things I'm going to be doing, we'll be discussing the proper way to set up a document for print. That's a very important thing, so we're going to do that first. The other thing that we're going to be doing is we're going to be taking a look at the logo that will be used in our project in Adobe Illustrator, and I'm going to show you how to properly send that logo out and let me go open this up and open this up and open up the originals, and let me show you. The package that you are going to download that has the files in it are right here. We have this Oster logo, which is sent to us as an Adobe Illustrator document. Adobe Illustrator will work in Adobe InDesign, but it is not the correct format for us to use when we are going to be embedding a graphic into InDesign. It is not the best way to go. So one of the things that I'm going to do is I'm going to open up this file in Adobe Illustrator, and I'm going to show you how to save this as a file that's correct for print. We will talk about this. There are two files that we can use. We can use the EPS, which is an encapsulated PostScript file, or we could use an Adobe PDF file. So I probably will use the EPS, but you could use either one. The other thing we're going to do is we're going to take a look at a couple of these pictures here. I looked at these pictures, and there are some problems with these pictures. So what I want to do is I want to explain to you what these problems are. Unfortunately, we're going to have to use these pictures because that's what the project calls for, but it isn't a real project. It's just a project that gets our feet wet working with Adobe Illustrator. With Adobe InDesign. So it's not the end of the world. But the bottom line is I want to explain to you what's wrong with these pictures and why they would not work for us. So that's what we're going to do. So basically, the assignment calls for us to utilize these photos, the copy, which I don't know whether I have it open yet or not, but let me go back in here up to week 1. And where is it? Utilize, I think it's this. Where is the copy? Might be right here. Yeah, the copy's on this. There you go. Okay, so here we go. Let me get this out of the way because that's not it. Here is the copy. Right here, copy for page. See it? It's this copy right here. Right there. Smoothie Blast, Smoothie Plus, and all that. This is the copy that we are going to use to create our page. In a minute, I'm going to show you how to set up this document, and I'll show you what this page is going to look like. In the end, what we're going to do is we're going to export this as a PDF and submit it to our Dropbox. We are also going to produce, and I had a little trouble locating this. At first, I found it no problem, but then when I went back to look at this again, this is week 1 assessment. These are newsletter advertisements, but then when I went to look again, I didn't see them there. So I'm going to show you how to do one of these, and it looks like the assessment has been changed to a test. So I guess what you're going to do is you're going to take the test. I don't know. I guess what I'll do is I'll try to find out what the story is with these 2 newsletter ads, and I may be contacting you regarding doing them. But at any rate, what they will be is they will be 2 1/6-page advertisements. I'm going to show you this, and I'll talk to you about the sizes when we get to it. So the first thing that I'm going to want to do, let me just minimize that. The first thing I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to open up Adobe InDesign. This is the program that we're going to be working with. I've already done this project, and I'm going to open this project and I want you to see what happens when I open this. Okay, Adobe InDesign. This document contains a link to a source that is missing. You can find or relink the missing link using the links panel. This is one of the big common problems that we run into when we are working with Adobe Illustrator, Adobe InDesign, even sometimes Photoshop. When we create files, files get linked into other files. So I have this document which I'm about to open, and what's happening is one of the links has been moved and it's lost touch with that file. So it's going to be unable to properly display this source. And it's telling me that I can go in and I can search for and relink this resource in the links panel. That's essentially what this is. So I wanted to open this and show it to you this way so that you had a good understanding of what this process is really all about. And this process is one of the reasons why we package our files. When we package our files, the program automatically creates a folder that has nested folders inside. And inside the nested folders are all the fonts that are used in our document and all the images that are used. It literally copies all of those resources into the folder. And then what it does is it resaves the document inside that folder and reestablishes all the links to the folders. They call that packaging. And that's one of the things that we're going to be going over again later on in this course. So there are quite a bit of production techniques that we are going to be covering through the 4 weeks that we're here. And I'm going to try to give you a good idea of what this program is really all about and what we will be doing with it. Okay, so I'm just going to hit OK on this. And again, it's just telling me that there's a source that seems to be misplaced. And I'm going to show you how I'm going to relink to that. Hit OK. It opens the document up. And I have my info palette, which I don't really need. And I think right here is my links panel. Now look at right here. These are my linked elements. I have an EPS file, which I was talking to you about before. I have a TIFF, a TIFF, a TIFF, and I have this JPEG with a question mark. When you roll over the question mark, see what it says? Missing, double click to relink. So what am I going to do? Double click. And what it's going to do is it's going to open up and it's going to have me go and look for my images. And what I'm looking for is that guy right there, Smoothie Week 1, and hit OK. And now it's relinked. And how can I tell it's relinked? The question mark is gone. So I just want you to understand that in reality, a lot of this is not so terribly difficult. It's really a matter of learning how to deal with the program. And what we're going to be creating here is a document. This particular document is an 8.5 by 11 product sheet. I must say I have made thousands of these things. This is something that's very commonplace, and a lot of people will have you make them, and you'll probably do many before you're done your work as a graphic designer. I'm going to make this thing to show you how I did it. Again, I assume that everybody in here has different levels of skill. Some of you may not know Adobe InDesign at all. So ultimately what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through the process of making this. But before I do that, I want to point out a couple of things. Number one, down here, there's this little Oster logo. I want to show you how to deal with that. I got these 3 pictures here. And I have some image sizes for these pictures because I've actually measured the boxes. And the middle image, this one right here, is 4.7967 inches. So it's 4.75 to a little over 4 3/4 of an inch, almost 4 inches, 4.8 inches. It's very close to that. Okay, which would be 4.80%, whatever. And then the height of it is 4.46, which is just a shade under 4.5 inches high. So that's the size of that image right there, roughly. Okay, and the top image is 2.84 8294, which is just under 2.9 or 2 and 90 of an inch. And then its high 3.28, which is a little over 3.5 or 3.25. I mean, which is 3¼ inches. So those are generally the sizes that they are. The problem is I don't think that we have the images correct in order to make these things work. And I want to show you that and explain what I think is the problem with that. And then you will ultimately still use these because they're the images that we're supplied with. Oh, and by the way, you're looking at the smoothies, good for you, and all this text looks really nice. But if you take a look at these pictures here, the actual images themselves don't look very good. I can fix that by going up to the View menu and going to Display Performance. And notice it says Typical Display. If I click on High Quality Display, the images come up and look pretty good. So really, it's just a matter of changing the display. All right, so the first thing that I want to do is I want to demonstrate to you how to work with this logo and how to work with these pictures. And then I'm going to come in here and I'm going to show you how to set a basic document up. And then I'm going to go in and I'm going to put this document together for you. So let me minimize this for a minute. And let me go over it and let me open up Adobe Illustrator. And come on, baby. There we go. Okay, so there's my Oster logo. And this is a bitmap. I'm sorry, not a bitmap, a vector. Notice that when you click on this, you get your line segments and your anchor points. So this is basically a piece of vector art. So there are two different types of art that we will be looking at tonight. One will be bitmap art and one will be vector art. The nice thing about vector art is it's what's called resolution independent. That means essentially you can make this piece of art as large or as small as you need to make it. So this particular piece of art is already sized correctly, and it's going to be just presented in black. But what I want to do is I want to send this out so that it has a transparent background because it's going to be placed on top of a background color. And if I send this thing out with this white background, this is my artboard that this is on. My white area here is my artboard. So I can either make this transparent or I can make this white. In the case of the piece that I'm working on, if I made it white, it would look terrible because then there'd be this crazy white background against a color background, which wouldn't make a lot of sense. So if I were to export this thing as a JPEG, which I wouldn't do, it would give me that background and the white background, and that would be no good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to export this as an EPS, which is the encapsulated PostScript file. To do that, oh, before I do that, just so that you know, this artboard is also way too big. We don't need all this white space around this logo. The truth is, in order to do this in a nice way, what we want to do is we want to trim the artboard so that it is just kissing the edge of our piece of art, nice and tight. And it's a fairly easy way to do this. There's a fairly easy way to do this. I'm going to go to the Window menu, and I'm going to open up Artboards. And I have my Artboard panel opened up. And again, this is the artboard. There is a drop-down menu or a panel menu. I'm going to click on it. And I'm going to go down to Artboard Options and click on Artboard Options. So now I get my artboard options, and I want you to see that the look of the artboard changes. You can see crop marks out here, and you can see this dashed line in here. So you can tell that something's going on here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to trim this artboard back to the art. And if I go to Preset, and I click on the arrow here, and I go Fit to Artboard Bounds, boom. Hit OK. Look at that. There it is. That's what I was talking about. The artboard has been completely cut down to where it just kisses the edge of the artwork, making a nice, clean, tight presentation of the logo. So that's a really good little trick for you, something that you should remember when you're working on things like logos and stuff, or if you're creating artwork that you're going to use somewhere. one of the things that you're going to want to do is usually you're going to want to make the artboard bigger, create your piece of art to size, scale it, get it to size, and then trim your artboard back. And to do that, you open up the artboard panel, which is under Window, Artboards, there it is. And then you're going to open up your drop-down menu, choose Artboard Options, and under Preset, drop it down, fit the artboard bounds. Okay? So it's really easy to do. It's very professional to do this. This is the way you should really learn to deal with vector art like this. So now my next step is to save this as an EPS. So I go to the File menu right up here, click on it, and I go Save as Copy. I come into my original. I'm going to put this on the desktop for now, and I'm going to change this from Oster logo copy to just Oster logo. I'm going to delete that. And the save as type, I'm going to change. It's not going to be Adobe Illustrator at all. It's going to be Adobe EPS. Now, I just want to tell you, you can use Adobe Illustrator EPS, or you can use Adobe PDF. Both of these will work just fine. In this particular case, I am going to choose the EPS. Click on the EPS. I will be using a PDF later on for another project, so you can see how I do that as well. But this is the one that I generally use myself. So now it says Oster underscore logo dot EPS. On the desktop, hit save. And this comes up. Now, if I need to, I can change the version on this. I'm not going to do that because I'm working in Illustrator CS6, but if somebody's working in an Illustrator CS4 or CS5, they may request me to save it to that lower level, and I can do that by just dropping down here and coming back to CS5 or CS4, but I don't need to do that. I'm going to leave it at CS6 EPS. The one thing, though, that you want to make sure is happening is right here. This is the really important part of this whole thing. You want to make sure it says TIFF 8-bit color. That is the way that it is going to preview. You don't want it to preview as none because you won't get a preview out of it. You don't want a TIFF black and white. You want a TIFF 8-bit color. And you want transparent. If I deselect transparent, then what's going to happen is this is going to end up being opaque. See, if I click on opaque, this thing is going to have a white background. And I've defeated the whole purpose of this. So I'm going to go and I'm going to make sure transparent is selected. The rest of this stuff is pretty much okay. I don't really have anything else to do with this. It asks here for you to embed fonts. And I just wanted to mention to you that if you're creating graphics that have live fonts on it, and I hope you guys know what live fonts are. I will show you later on when I actually start making this product sheet, talk to you a little bit about live fonts as opposed to this Oster font. Well, you know what? Let me just say that the embed font, and I'm going to hit OK, and see it's writing the EPS format. Give it a second. It takes a second to write that. Minimize this, and my Oster logo right there. There it is. There's my EPS file, Oster logo. Type encapsulated PostScript. So that's what this is. What you need to know about an encapsulated PostScript is it's a vector-based file that's used to put graphic artwork, not bitmaps, not images, not photos, but vector art into a program like Adobe InDesign. It's the correct kind of format that you're going to want to use. So there's the file. So to get back to what I was talking about here, okay, so I click on this. Notice that these have been turned into vector shapes. The reason that I say they've been turned into vector shapes, because you're going to see all around the outer edge of this the anchor points and line segments. Now I'm going to set some type here real quick. I'm just going to type my name, B-I-L-L. So there's my name, and notice the difference. When you have live text, this is what it looks like. There's an underscore under it, and there's one little anchor point at the beginning of the word. That is what's known as live text. This is what's known as text that has been turned into outline form. Now, I'm going to show you how you turn that into outline form for those of you who don't know. With it selected, and what you got to watch what happens to the text. I'm going to go up to the type menu and I'm going to choose create outlines. Now, when I let go of this, watch what happens to the bill. Are you ready? Watch the bill. There you go. So you see what happens? Literally, that underscore went away, and this is no longer live text. It looks the same as it did when I started, but now these are individual little bitmap shapes, and when I zoom in and look at this real closely, it looks very much like the Oster logo. You've got the line segments and the anchor points. Okay? Now, when you send files to me, it's usually a pretty good idea to turn them into outlines like this, because very often on my computer, I won't have the fonts that you have. Let me go view, fit, artboard, and window. There we go. And I can get rid of this now. And I usually don't have the fonts that you have. Everybody that has a PC, and I have a PC, my fonts are going to be slightly different than your fonts on a Mac. Plus, there are people who have purchased additional fonts that are specialty fonts that they've paid for, that just because you have them doesn't mean I have them. So when you're creating stuff, you could use a font that I don't have. When you send something to me in an Adobe Illustrator file, Adobe Illustrator does not have the ability to embed the fonts in it, and it will lose the font, and it will not be able to display it, and it will substitute it, and it will literally mess up the look of your piece. So if you have a font and you want to show it to me exactly the way the font should look, that's when you would take that font before you're ready to send it to me, select it, and go type, create outlines, and it will turn the text into outlines. And once it's been made into an outline, it's no longer active text. It's just a graphic shape. And it will come to me and it will display perfectly. Now, this logo has, originally this was probably fonts, and what they did ultimately was they turned it into outline form because they made the logo look exactly the way they wanted it to look, and they wanted it to stay that way. So that's just very common for what you do when you're working on logo design such as this. I hope there are no questions. There's nobody here for me to ask a question of, but again, if you have any questions about this, you can contact me. So that's basically what I wanted to show you tonight for Adobe Illustrator. I now want to show you some stuff in Adobe Photoshop. And I'm going to come up here and I'm going to bring the Photoshop screen up. And there's one of the images. There's one of the images that you're going to be working on. And I can tell you right away that we might have a problem with this. Number one, the name of the file is smoothie3.jpg, and it's being displayed right now at 100%. So it's showing you 100%. That's as big as the art is. It's also in RGB. Now, that's our first problem, because when we print something, we do not print in RGB. This is a 4-color process flyer. This product sheet that we're going to be working on is going to be done in 4-color process, or CMYK, cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. So you need to understand that. So right away, the images that you're getting are in the wrong color mode. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to open up the images, and I'm going to open up the other one, File, Open, and I'm going to find Smoothie. I think that's Smoothie 3. This is Smoothie 2. And I'm going to go File, Open, and I'm going to open Smoothie 1. Okay, so I got Smoothie 1, Smoothie 2, Smoothie 3 open. Smoothie 1, what I'm going to start off by doing is I'm going to go in and I'm going to change the color mode from RGB to CMYK. This is not difficult to do. It's incredibly easy. What is difficult is for you to get used to the idea that when you're working in a program like Adobe InDesign and it is going to be used for print, it's your responsibility to make sure that any photographs that you use have the right size, resolution, and color mode. So we're dealing with the color modes right now, and all 3 of these are wrong. RGB is what you basically use for the web. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to convert all three of these to CMYK. That's the first thing I'm going to do. So with Smoothie 1 selected, I am going to go up to Image, and right here on the very top line is Mode. See it? Image Mode. And I can make it a grayscale. I can go indexed, RGB, which is what it is. See the check mark next to it? Okay, it's RGB. All I'm going to do is I'm going to roll over CMYK and let go, and I get this little dialog box that says, you are about to convert to CMYK using the US web-coded SWOP v2 profile. Well, what is a US web-coded SWOP v2 profile? Essentially, it's a profile that is what you use for a coded stock that's going to be run on a web press, which is probably what this is going to be run on. I mean, more than likely it will be coded paper or coded stock, and it will probably be run off of a web run. Now, if it's not, the printer that you're working with can tell you what to change this to, and you would be able to change that by going up into the file menu. Well, let me change this. Choose to use a different profile. Use Edit, Convert to Profiles. That's what I was about to show you. Okay, right now I'm going to click OK because this is a pretend one, but I do want you to understand that there are different profiles, and this particular one is for web coded that's being run on a it's coded being used on a web run machine. Let me click OK, and let me go to the file and go to convert to where are we at here? Is it image? No, where was it? File, convert to profile. Hello, where are you? Edit. There we go. Convert to profile. So I'm going to click on its Edit, Convert to Profile. Click on Edit, Convert to Profile, and it's going to open up the Convert to Profile dialog box. What I just want you to do is very quickly see that there are all kinds of, look at them all. These are all different profiles that can be used. Now, you know, you're not supposed to know all this, but the fact is your printer will know which one he wants you to use and will tell you that he would like you to change the profile. So really the only thing that you have to know how to do is to go in and convert to that profile. And again, as I say, go Edit, Convert to Profile, you open up the panel, and he'll give you the profile that he wants, and you'll choose it. You can also change the type of engine that you have. You've got Microsoft and Adobe, relative color metric, the intent, which again, you don't do any of this stuff. The printer will tell you to do this stuff. So, you know, you leave this thing alone unless the printer tells you to do something different. I'm simply showing you that it's here because at some point what might happen to you is the printer may come and ask you for a particular profile, and you'll either ask him where to find it, or you will go into Edit, Convert to Profile and switch it for him. I'm going to hit OK. Now, basically, I didn't convert this to CMYK. So let me go back and go Image Mode, and I'm going to change it to CMYK, and I'm going to hit OK. And now look, Smoothie 1 JPEG at 100% CMYK. So this now is the correct file, or I'm sorry, the correct color mode for the print project that you're working on. I want you to understand the reason I'm doing this is because when you open these images up and after you download them, the images are in RGB. And I just want you to know that if you were to use them in RGB, you wouldn't be doing this quite right. So these are things, I mean, my job is to basically tell you things that you need to know. And I'm doing my job. I'm telling you what you need to know. So I'm going to go in, I'm going to grab Smoothie 2 now. And again, I'm going to go do the same thing. I'm going to go to Image Mode, and I'm going to go to CMYK Color. It just tells me the exact same thing. I'm simply going to go OK, and now I have CMYK. All right? Both of these are good. This one is not. Now, when you go to package this, this is what's really important here. When you go to package this, if you don't change these to RGB, what's going to happen is it's going to show up as in RGB when you go to package it. And you'll probably see that, and then you'll have to go in and correct it. But if you do it from the beginning, then you don't have that problem. So now I'm going to go to Smoothie 3, which is also in RGB, image mode, CMYK, and I'm going to convert it. So now at least all of my files are in the right color mode. So that's good, but there are other problems. The other problems are, let me go back to Smoothie 1 JPEG. Actually, I think the one that I'm on is pretty good. I'm going to go to the image menu, and I'm going to open up image size. So now I have my image size dialog box. Here's my problem. Actually, you know what? Let me cancel this. I do think I want to go to the middle one. That's the one that's in the middle. All right, so go to image size, image size, and there's my image size dialog box. Now, I've measured the middle image, and I think as I was explaining to you, the middle image has a width of 4.79, which is 4 3/4 of an inch wide. That's the width. Look at what the width of this is, 1.113. So this is really only about an inch, not even an inch and a quarter. It's like 1.125, less than 1.125. It's something like an inch, a little over 1.125, I guess. That's no good. It is in 300 pixels per inch. The resolution is 300 pixels per inch. And let me explain a little bit about resolution. When you're working in print, the type of print that we're doing, the image should be 300 pixels per inch. Now, if this, and the reason I say this is because I've created this file, and I happen to know that this file bleeds. It bleeds 4 ways. It bleeds all the way around. There's a background color, and it's going to bleed off the page. So this isn't really something that you can do off of a color copier, because you cannot bleed an image off of a color copier, but you can off of a 4-color process printer. If I were going to be making this flyer to go off of a color copier, I could change this resolution down to about 150, something like that. Okay? But I can't do that because this is going to be, so it needs to be 300. This is going to be 4-color process printing. This image is too small. And there's no way for me to take this and make this as big as I have to make it and keep that resolution. It's impossible. It just doesn't work that way. If I were to try to do this, I would completely mess this image up, and it would be more or less rendered unusual because it has to go up nearly 400%, 1 to 4. It's got to go up a lot, much more than I can make it go up. So that's the problem with these images. These images are not images that we could truly use if this was a real job. We'd have to find a way to get bigger images in order to do this. I'm pointing this out to you because it's my job. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm supposed to be talking to you about how to deal with these images and how to make sure that they're right. Now, so here's what is right. The resolution is correct, and the color mode is correct, but the size is incorrect. The size is not going to be big enough. The highest I can bring this up is approximately 117% safely, and even that's pushing it. I really can't make it any bigger than that without totally destroying the image. So you need to realize this. So this is something that we're going to use these images, but these images would not be good if we were doing this and it was really being printed. We would have to literally get an image, and I'm going to show you something. I'm going to hit cancel here. Okay, so I'm going to go to the original maximum image. So here I got this picture of this girl. This is an example of what I'm talking about. All right, so I'm going to go to, first of all, this is also in RGB. So if I wanted to use this, I would go to image mode and I would go in and change it to CMYK. This is just an example to show you what I'm talking about. Image size. Now I want you to take a look at the size of this. This has got a height of 14 inches. And it has a width of 9 inches. And it has a resolution of 240 pixels per inch. So, at this size, height of 14 inch, width of 9.733, at 240 pixels, it would be a little short of what I need to print this good. But here's what I am showing you this for. I have an image that I'm going to use, and I gave you the size of a height of 4.46 inches. So let's just pretend for a minute. Hi, Christopher. How you doing? What happened? Did you have trouble getting in? Christopher, you there? Christopher, can you hear me? Hello? Christopher, are you there? Can you hear me? You can't hear me? Uh, um, you're not hearing me. Hello? Hello? I can see a screen mouse, but no audio. Okay. All right. So, yeah, so I got Christopher in here and we're having a little trouble hearing. I'm hoping that it is just him and it's not the entire class. I do have this thing, I do have my audio unmuted, so, and I have my volume up and I tested it and it seemed to be working all right. So, hopefully I'm recording this. Okay, so anyway, let me get back to this for a minute. What I wanted to do here is, hi, Christopher, is this any better?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So it was just you, because you had me worried, because I'm thinking to myself, good God, I've been sitting here now for over 39 minutes talking, and if I'm not getting any, there's Maurice. What are you doing? You're late, Maurice. Hey.
Awesome.
What happened, Maurice? You're late. You're not talking to me? Okay, Christopher.
Sorry.
Listen, Christopher and Maurice, listen to me very carefully. Maurice, you should remember this from my last class. I like to leave the mics on for you guys. Absolutely incredibly important that when you come into the classroom, you find a quiet place and you make sure that nobody talks or nothing goes on in the background. Otherwise, it'll be very disruptive for the people watching the recorded sessions. So if you're not in a quiet space, close your mic off, and when you want to ask me a question, put it back on. If you are in a quiet place, you can leave your mic on. One of you are in a noisy place because I hear background. Is that you, Maurice?
Yeah, I'm gonna be ready for bed tonight. Okay.
Who is that? Who's got the noisy background?
I don't think it's me. It's pretty quiet around here.
Maurice, is there people in the background with you, back by you? Oh, he's gone.
Oh, I have vending machines behind me.
Okay.
And I have a headset in, so.
Christopher, you're nice and quiet. There's no problem. What
Okay.
basically is I'm trying to make people who are watching this video understand that I really do want to keep the mics on for the entire class. Whoever's here has the chance to ask me questions on the fly, and it makes it a better class. But in order for this to work, we have to have absolute quiet here in my area and in your area. And what we need to do is make sure that when we come into the classroom, we're in a quiet spot. Or if we're not in a totally quiet spot, we have to keep our mic off and just click it on when you want to ask me a question, and then immediately shut it off, because all that background noise, and it happens to me every once in a while. Like last night in my class, I had the phone go off and I couldn't get it to stop. And then I had the dogs barking, you know, and I can only control that so much, and so can you. But what we want to try to do is control it as best we can. All right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're nice and quiet, so there.
Okay, so on muting it, is that just in the bottom left corner?
I don't know. On yours, mine is there's just a little button. If I click on it, it says mute. And I'm looking right now at you, and I see that your video isn't on, but your audio is on. And if I click on mute, well, I'm going to do it. Okay, now you're off. And if I click on unmute, now you're back on. So
do I need my video on at all, or?
No, you don't need your video. You need the audio. And the only reason you need the audio is because I like to be able to let you ask me questions whenever you feel that you want to ask a question.
Okay. All right.
It just makes a more interesting class. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. This is my first online, so I'm kind of new to this.
I think probably right now a quick question of you is in order. And right now we're in Adobe Photoshop. How do you feel about Photoshop? Are you comfortable with Photoshop?
Yeah, I've had a practice in high school, which is like 2002, 2003.
Okay.
And then I just had a Photoshop class, a basic one last month. So.
What I'm going to be doing is probably going to be something maybe a little new to you, but and you're going to have to pick up where you missed by looking at the recorded session. The other question I have for you real quickly, since I'm on the question mode right now, how are you with Adobe InDesign?
Never heard of it, never used it.
Okay, so then you're going to learn everything, and I'm going to try to go through this, and you're probably going to be asking me questions. All right, that's cool. I have no problem with that. That's what you're here for. All right, let me get back to what I'm doing. So I have the image size on this. This is not one of the images, Christopher, that we're going to be using. I'm comparing this to the smoothie images, and I'm just trying to show you something. I was showing you these smoothie images earlier and explaining the problems with them. You're going to be using those smoothies in your little production that you're going to do, this product sheet. So I put this image in because this image is a better image, and I'm trying to explain to you why it's a better image. So let me get back to that. All right, so the width on this is 9.733. So that means it's 9 inches wide. The height is 14. Now, it also has a pixel resolution of 240, which is not 300, but it's 240. That's not bad. Plus, the height is 14 inches. If you remember my middle image on my production piece, I only needed to be 4.46 images. So let me explain something to you. Because the resolution is 240 pixels, and because I'm not going to make this bigger, but in fact I'm going to make it significantly smaller, I am able to go in here and change the resolution from 240 to 300. And then I come up here. Now I'm pretending that this girl picture is one of my smoothies pictures, and the picture's bigger, and I'm sizing it to the size that I need. So I can now make this, instead of 14 inches, I can make it 4.46, and see that the width of that comes down to 2.99. Well, that's no good. What I need actually is I need a width of 4.79. So let's see what happens. I'm going to go 4.79. 4.79. This ends up giving me a height of 7.17 and a 300 pixels per inch, okay? That's what this gives me. 4.79 gives me a height of 7.77. Well, that's not perfect, but it's a lot better than 14 inches. So watch what happens when I hit OK. This is the first thing. I hit OK. Okay, so now my image has been reduced in size. Oh, and Chris, I think there's some noise going on in the background. So mute yourself, and if you have a question, come on and click on and talk. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. All right. So here's my image, and what I want to show you is I need this image to be 4.79 inches wide and 4.46 high. So how am I going to do that? I am going to go up into the image menu again, and I'm going to go to canvas size. And I'm going to look at this, and my width is 4.79, which is the correct size. That width is correct. My height, though, is 4.46. So I can't, this is 7.177. So I want this to be 4.46. So I'm going to change that to 4.46. Now, do you see these little anchor points here? These little anchor points, and there's a dot in the middle. These little anchor points are basically telling me that right now, this image is anchored in the middle. And if I reduce the height of this, it's going to reduce from the top towards the middle and from the bottom towards the middle. Now, if I do that, it's going to start cutting her head off seriously, and it's going to cut her bottom off seriously, which is not going to be very good. So what I want to do is I want to make sure that I don't cut her head off. So how I'm going to deal with that is I'm going to go and I'm going to click on that arrow right there. And you see how I've moved that dot up to the top? Now what's happening is I am going to trim the bottom, not the top. Now watch when I go and do this. I'm going to hit OK. Watch this image. Are you ready? Watch the girl's image. Hit OK. And the new canvas size is smaller. Some clipping will occur. Proceed. Boom. There you go. So it did not cut her head at all. But in fact, what it did is it trimmed off the bottom. And this particular picture, although I'm not really going to use it, demonstrates how I would go in and resize and create an image that will fit the size that I'm using. And it does it pretty nicely because this was a good picture. I really didn't need all of her body down here. This is a really nice portrait of this girl, and it still is. So,
I have a question.
Yeah, go right ahead.
So what you just did, how is that different from just cropping the original image?
You can also go in and crop the image. I just think that this is a little bit more mechanical, and I think it's a little bit more controllable.
Yeah, okay.
It's really no more than a different method of doing it. I personally think that this is a little easier, and I wanted to show you how to do this. The reason I'm showing you this is because they gave us these smoothie images here. And the problem with the smoothie images, you'll see this when you actually look at the recorded session, they were in the wrong color mode, and the sizes of the images are incorrect. So there wasn't much I could do about fixing the sizes. So I demonstrated using my little girl here how I would go in and resize and change the size of my pixel resolution from 240 to 300 pixels per inch. So that was the point of me showing you that. Okay.
Okay.
And the reason I'm doing this is because these images aren't really right. And I just want you to know that you're going to be creating this thing. They're not going to be right. So what you can do, you can go in and you can change these from RGB to CMYK. So I don't know whether you saw this or not. It is in the recording. This girl is in RGB. See it right there?
Yeah.
Okay. To change this from RGB into CMYK, you go to mode and you're going to go over to CMYK and you get this dialog box. You are about to convert to CMYK, and it tells you what is the profile you're using. And I explained about the profile. You can watch that. I'm not going to go through it. And you hit OK. And now look, this is no longer RGB. This is a CMYK image. It's just But the problem is, and what you have to understand is, you really need to make sure that these images are in CMYK when you're going to be printing.
Okay.
Okay?
All right, thank you.
Good?
We're good, thank you.
All right. So I'm going to close all these guys up. I'm not going to save them. No. Close that up. I'm not going to save it. And this, I'm not going to save it. These are all just demonstrations, so no. And I'm done with this for now. I'm going to put it aside just in case. You never know. All right. So you missed how I created this logo, but Christopher, you can go back and you can take a look at my recording at the very beginning. Hi, Big CZ. Did I say it right? Where's this? Where? Oh, no. He doesn't have a speaker either. Christopher, do me a favor.
Yes.
Shoot him shoot him an email. Big CZ, can you hear me? Oh, there he is. He's got it. Who's
Okay.
Big CZ? Talk to me, Big CZ. Hello? Are you there? I wonder if you can hear me.
I wonder if you had the same issue I had where I had to log back in.
I don't know. I can hear him, though. When you came in, I didn't hear you at all. We can hear you.
Awesome.
CZ.
Oh.
Or C2. Maybe that's why. Hello? All right, let me, I'm going to mute him. Okay, I'm going to mute him. Okay, so Christopher, here's the deal. I am going to open up Adobe InDesign, and I'm going to show you my smoothie. So this is my smoothie, okay? This is what we are going to be working on, all right? And what it is a very simple 4-color process printed cell sheet, product sheet. You can call it whatever you want. And I got to tell you something. This is a really real project. I mean, even though this one isn't, this is a real project. I cannot tell you how many of these things I've made. I have made literally hundreds of them, okay? So it is something that you will come across, and I am going to show you the correct way to go in and set up this very simple document, and then I'm going to demonstrate how to put this thing together. And then you will be able to go ahead and create your own, and that is what your assignment will be for this week.
Okay.
All right, so you ready to go?
Yep.
All right. So the first thing that you're going to want to do, now this is an 8.5 by 11 product sheet. That's the size of it. So the first thing that you're going to want to do, and it's only a 1-color product sheet to boot, and it's 4-color process. So those are the things that you know going in. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to go File, New, and I can create in Adobe InDesign a new document, a new book, a new folio, or a new library. So what I want to do, this is a very simple document. So File, New Document, and I get the New Document dialog box. And the first thing I look at here is the intent. Now I've been working with this program and mine is set to print, but you also have the ability to set the intent to be web publishing or digital publishing. I would really, were you going to
What's digital publishing for?
Digital publishing is if you're going to be creating something that's like an interactive PDF that you might be using on like a one of those readers.
Oh, okay.
That's kind of like what a digital publishing environment is. And of course, web is if you're going to create a web page. I would definitely not. Is that you, Eric? Hello? Can you hear me? Eric? Huh. What's going on? And there's Stacy?
Yes.
Okay. How are you?
Fine.
Okay. Did you know that the class started at 5 o'clock Mountain Time?
No.
Yeah, that's when it started, 5 o'clock Mountain Time.
Oh, okay.
What
It says 6 o'clock in the announcement.
Yeah, it's there. No problem. You're going to have to, you've missed an hour of it, so what's going to happen is you're going to have to watch the recorded session to catch up. But it's nice that you're, good that you're here. Is that you, Eric? Hello?
Hello?
Eric, is that you? Okay. Well, all right. So basically what I'm getting ready to do here, gang, is I'm getting ready to create a single document. There's the number of pages. There's going to be 1 page. Now, I want you to look right here. See where it says facing pages? When you create a document like this, you're not creating facing pages. You're going to create 1 single page. So what I generally do is I generally deselect facing pages because we don't need it. The number of pages, 1. Now, the size of the page is letter.
Hello?
Hello?
Oh, you can hear me? Okay.
Is that you, Eric?
Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
Okay, listen to me, all of you. Here's the deal. I want to make sure that you all have the ability to speak to me and ask me questions through the class. So it's absolutely essential that when you come to class in the future, you come in a quiet space. So there should be no music or any stuff going on in the background. Try to get a quiet room, go in a room by yourself and shut the door. Make it quiet, because otherwise it's going to really mess up the recording. Or if you can't do that, then mute yourself. And if you have a question, unmute yourself and ask the question. Okay, do you guys get that?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so that's it. I want to make sure that we all have the ability to speak to one another, because this is a class, and I like to be able to make the class kind of like interactive, all right? So let me get back to this. So the intent for the new document is going to be print. The number of pages is going to be 1. I deselected facing pages. The size of this is letter. This thing is set to points, which I don't particularly like. I can go in and I can change that in preferences to images, and I will do that later. The number of columns, I'm just going to go with 1 because I'm not using even columns here. I'm using kind of an oddball column situation here. So I'm just going to leave it as 1. And then I need a margin area. And I already have a margin set in here. I want the margin to be about, I think I had a 1/2 inch. So I'm going to type in 0.5 IN, and this thing is checked. See this little make all settings the same? That thing is a link, and it basically is telling me that it's going to make all of my margins the same. Margins are the area that are between the edge of the paper and where you want your text and images to stop. You don't want your images to go beyond that point. That's what's known as a margin. And there's a top margin, a right margin, a left margin, and a bottom margin. Okay? So watch when I click on bottom, it changes to 3.0. So that basically is setting this up to have a margin of a 1/2 inch. Okay? Now I'm going to go more options, and I have what are known as bleed and slug. Have any of you, do any of you know what a bleed and a slug is? Anybody?
No.
No? Okay. When you have an image in a print document, an InDesign document is a print document. When you have an image of any kind that's going to bleed off the page, and what it means by bleeding is it's going to print to the edge of the page and appear to go beyond, that's known as a bleed. And if you take a look at this document over here, that black line is supposed to be the edge of the page. That little red line there is the bleed. So in other words, when this gets printed, it cuts to that black line, and this nice color goes right to the edge of the page. It goes beyond the page that far to guarantee that you get a nice clean edge of color right on up and over. Does that make sense now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So what you really want to do for this, you want to set a bleed of 1/8 inch. And how you do that is you point 125, whoops, 125 IN. 125 IN. And then when I, again, see how this is linked?
Yep.
All right. I move to the next one, and it converts it to 9p. And I'm going to link these because I want to show a slug area. Now, a slug area, you see that blue line out there?
Yeah.
Okay, that is the slug area. That is an area that goes beyond the bleed and allows for printer's marks and different marks to show. They call that a slug area. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set, and I'm creating a new document here. I'm going to set this to have 1 IN, an inch of slug area. And when I click on the next one, see where it goes 6P0? That's what that converts to. So now that I have all this done, if I wanted to, and if I'm going to be doing these settings many, many, many times, I can save this as a preset. And to do that, I just click Save Preset, and I get the Save Preset document. And what I'm going to do to make sure that you can see this is I'm just going to type my name, Bill. So I'm going to save this preset as Bill. And the only reason I'm doing it is because the name will stand out. Hit OK. And notice that my settings stay the same, but notice that my document preset now changes to Bill, because that's what these settings are for. And if I come down here and click on this, There, that's the only what's in here right now. If I hit default, you see how it wipes all that away?
Right.
Okay, but then I come back in, I click on bill, and you see what it does? It brings it all back.
Right back.
Okay?
Yep.
So how do you feel about that? Is that clear enough? Do you get that? Is it
Yeah.
all right.
Yes.
Now go ahead. Do you have a question?
How long? What time did class start? I thought it was 6 p.m. Mountain.
Mountain time, 5 o'clock Mountain time.
Oh, on the thing it says 6 p.m. Mountain time.
Does it? Oh, well, that's my fault. I'm sorry. I
Okay.
will fix it. I actually, what happened is I had another class and somebody asked me for 6, and I think I actually didn't reset it. So, but that's okay because I've recorded this and you guys can watch the first hour in recording. It'll be okay.
All right.
Okay?
Okay, thank you.
No problem. And I will make sure that I fix that, and it will be at 5. We will do it at 5, okay?
Okay, all right. Is there 2 classes a week?
No, 1 class, 2 hours, and then you got work that you're going to do independently. You also have an assistant, and you can contact me if you need help with your assignment.
Okay, and Tara's our assistant?
Kara, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So essentially what I've done now is I've put in, and what I want you to understand is when you're creating a document in Adobe InDesign, it's very important for you to set up the parameters of your document. I mean, you don't want to do this later on. Whether this is a business card, a 4-color newsletter, a 4-page newsletter, or a simple flyer like this, you want to set this whole thing up in advance. That's really why I'm doing this. So when I click OK, I just want to show you what happens. Okay. There's my document. Now I'm going to go view, zoom out, and I'm going to explain to you all these little lines that you see here. Okay. The first line that you see is kind of a purplish color. Can you see that?
Yes.
Okay. The space between that line and that black line,
Right.
that is your margins. Okay? That is your margin. And what you want to know about a margin is, unless the image is going to bleed or unless the text is going to bleed off the edge, you don't want elements that are not bleeding to go any further beyond that red mark right there, that purple mark right there. So this area should be left more or less blank. Everybody understand that? The margin. The black line is where the document ends. So if you can imagine, after this document is all designed, sent to the printer prints it, he then cuts it using a machine to that black line, and that's the piece that you finally hold in your hand. The red line that you see here is the bleed area. The bleed area is for any piece of art that will go off any of the edges of your sheet. Now, this particular document that we're going to work on will have something that bleeds. So you will see me put a piece of art that goes right out to that bleed line. Okay? The slug area is the area that you are going to allow to show the printer's marks. So you need to put a slug area in so that there's an area outside the document for putting your printer marks in. Those are like crop marks and registration marks and things like that. Any questions?
No.
I have one.
Go right ahead.
So all of these lines and stuff, what purposes do they all have if they're outside of the page marking?
Okay. The slug area, for instance, is an area that is going to be made when you produce your PDF files. In this area, there are going to be printer's marks. There's going to be like crop marks. There's going to be registration marks. There's going to be color bars. And this area is going to allow room for those to print within your document. Even though they're not going to appear on the final piece, they are elements that go to the printer that the printer needs to help do his job. And you're going to see where I get them from when I actually go to export this file. Okay. Now the bleed area as I was explaining before, if you have something that you're going to print beyond the edge of the paper, or it's going to go to the edge of the paper, you're going to want to make it run a little bit beyond the edge so that when it cuts back cleanly, and you get that image or that color or whatever going right to the edge of the paper. It's called that a bleed, and that's what that is. And the line on the page tells you where you can stop letting elements that are not going to bleed, where you're going to stop elements. So you really want to keep this area in here between that purple line and that black line. You want to keep that more or less clear of elements that are not bleeding. So that's really the purpose of those lines. And of course, that black line, as I was saying, is where the actual piece is going to end up cutting out. So these are lines that you're going to get used to. What's very important for you to understand is that you do need to think about them, and you do need to prepare artwork that have all this.
You do the artwork, you fucking idiot?
What?
No.
Hello? Hello? Okay. All right. So now that I have this done, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you very quickly your pages. There's your page. There's really only one page in this particular thing because this is a one-sided card. Now, the other thing that I want to do is I want to show you the swatches. Here are your swatches. Your swatches are your colors. Now, one of the things that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to understand that when you open up a document, you get all these colors in here. And these colors have absolutely nothing to do with your work. Nothing. So what I generally do when I start to create a new project like this is I really throw them all away. The ones that I keep are the registration, the paper, and the black. And then what I do is I go in and I create the colors that I'm going to use in my piece, which is exactly what I'm going to do now. So I'm going to click on that color, and I'm going to hold down the Shift key, and I'm going to click on that color. So I've actually selected all these colors that are in here, right?
Right.
And I'm going to come over and I'm going to delete them all. And you see they're all gone. Real simple. I don't want them. I don't need them. They're not going to do me any good. So the first thing that I want to do with this is I want to show you what we're going to create. I'm going to go back to this for a second. This is what we're going to create. Now, here's a little trick for you. This is going to make your job so much easier. I am going to come over here and I'm going to create a frame. You see these two tools right here? The little squares, the one's got an X in it and the other one is just gray. See those? They are your frame tools.
What happened?
Frame tools.
Hello?
Hello. I'm going to click and I'm going to drag and create a frame, and I'm going to make this frame go right to the edge of the box. Can you all see that? Can you all see my little frame?
Yep.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go File, Place. And I am going to come in and I'm going to find this piece of art right there. See it? That is the layout that we're going to use. And I'm going to hit Open.
Okay.
And look at that. See what it did? It came in and placed my piece of art exactly where I built that box. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my Layers panel, right? And I'm going to bring my Layers panel over here. Hold on, let me bring this up a bit. I'm going to go over to my Layers panel, and I'm going to create a new layer. Layer number 2. Okay, layer number 1. There we go. Layer number 1 is my template. All right, so this is my template. 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 And I'm going to hit OK. So essentially, layer number 1, I'm calling it a template. See it? And that piece of art is on layer number 1. Okay?
Okay.
All right. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to the Object menu, and I'm going to go down to Effects. Object, Effects, Transparency. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to set the transparency to the opacity to 50%. 49%, that's good enough. Okay? Hit OK. Oh, you know what? I didn't select the object. hold on. Got to select the object first, obviously. Object, effects, transparency, and drag the slider down to 50%. There we go. That's good enough. Hit OK. And see what it did? It made this transparent.
Right.
Okay. The reason I'm making this transparent is because this is going to be used as a tracing object. I'm actually going to trace my layout on this, and I want to make sure that I get all my elements in place, and I want to make it as easy as possible. So by creating a tracing object and making it very light, it will actually make it a little bit easier for me to do my layout. So does that make sense? Anybody not understand why I'm doing this way? You're
Yeah,
good?
it makes sense.
Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to lock my template. So I've locked this template. Now I can't select it. See that? I can go over this thing and I can try to select it all I want. It's not going to select. I'm going to click on layer number 2, and I'm going to rename layer number 2 Layout. L-A-Y-O-U-T, Layout. And I'm going to hit OK. I'm going to also create one more layer, and I'm going to call this layer Background. B-A-C-K-G-R-O-U-N-D. Background. So I now have a layer. I want to put the background layer beneath the layout. The background layer is the last thing I'm going to do. That's going to be that color that we're going to build in here. But what I want to do first is I want to start working on my layout. This layout involves 3 frames with 3 pictures. It involves a logo, and it involves some text. It's a really very simple thing to do. So what I want to do is I want to give you an idea of how I do this and how you're going to do this. This is your assignment for the week. And I'm glad I got you all here so that you can kind of, watch me do this, and you have the opportunity to chime in if you have a question right here and right now. So I'm going to come over, and I'm going to, again, grab one of these boxes. And I'm going to come over here, click, hold, and drag a box out.
Okay.
Just like that. Okay?
Right.
Now, I am going to go File, Place, and I'm in my image folder. These are my images, and I'm going to look for the right image. That's not the right image. That is the image. Can you see it? There's the strawberries, and there's the shake. I'm going to click OK, and the image comes in. Can you see how small the image is?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's no good, is it? Way too small, isn't it? The problem is that this image is never going to be really usable, but we can use it for our exercise, which is what we're going to do. So I'm going to select it. I don't know whether you noticed how I did that or not, but I clicked on the regular selection tool here, and I came into the middle of my frame, and you see that little circular thing that comes up?
Mm-hmm.
See it? Can you see that?
Mm-hmm.
When I click on that, can you see how it selects the image?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to hold down the Shift key, and I'm going to drag my image up until the image is about the size of the other one, and then I'm going to move it into position. Something like that will be fine. See how easy that is?
Yeah.
Yes.
Any questions?
Yeah. No.
It's really, all it comes down to really is that you create a frame, the size that you want, position that you want, and place your image in and scale your picture to fit the frame in the appropriate way. Now, there's one final thing that I got to do to this, and that is to put a bar, or actually a stroke of red around this. So I select the box again, and I'm going to come over here to the stroke. See where the stroke is on my toolbar?
Yes.
And I'm going to double click on the stroke, and I'm going to bring this thing up, and I'm going to try to get a red. I'm going to try to get a nice bright red. That's probably a nice red right there. Hit OK. Right now it is C0M99, yellow 100, and K0. I'm mentioning this and I'm showing you this because I want you to understand that we are going to be working in CMYK, and it's important for you to understand a little bit about what we're doing. We're creating a color, and it says here add CMYK swatch. I click on it and hit OK, and look at that. See what it did? it added that color.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's just how easy it is to create a CMYK color when you're working in a CMYK environment. The only other thing that you have to do here now is you have to determine how wide that stroke is. I think it was 3 that I used. I don't know for sure. We'll see. It might even be bigger than that, but I'm going to leave it at 3 for now, and we'll adjust it. So there, if you take a look at this, let me zoom in closely, and you can see what this whole thing looks like. There you go. See? And I think actually this was not 3, it was 4. Let's try 4. Try 4. Yeah, probably 4 is good. Okay, see that?
Mm-hmm.
So that's all that you're doing. Now, see again how pixelated this is? This is really not a good image because we had to enlarge the image artificially, and that doesn't work. But let me try to change the display performance on this. And see, it does look a little bit better, but I'm telling you that this image is not good. Can you see how it's a little bit bitmappy here?
Yes.
Yeah, you can see it here. This is not really a good image, but for our purposes to just do this exercise, this will be fine. It'll be acceptable. I have no problem with that. So I'll go view, fit, page, and window, and I'm going to go view, zoom out. That's probably pretty good right there. And I'm going to come in and I'm going to create another box. This is my second box from my second area of my layout. And I'm just going to drag it until it falls basically where I have it here. I think I actually am a little bit short on this side. I'm going to get the regular selection tool, and I'm going to drag that over just a touch. I guess I can't really. And then I'm going to click on the red for the stroke, and the stroke is 4. Click on that. So now I basically have that, and all I have to do is click on it again and go File, Place. And I'm going to come in and I'm going to find my smoothie image, which is smoothie 1. There it is. See it?
Yes.
Hit OK. And you see again, see how tiny the smoothie image is? This is not a good thing. I'm just telling you, this is not right. However, for our purposes, this will work. And once again, I'm going to come in with my regular selection tool. I'm looking for that little bullseye in the middle. I'm going to click on it. I am going to click on that corner, hold down the Shift key, and I'm going to drag to make my drink large enough so that it looks more or less like the other one does. And I think what I got to do is I got to move this up to get it in the position that it should be in. It should be something like that, I think. Okay? So there's my second image, and I deselect it, and there's my second image. Any problems so far?
No.
Good. We're going to do. Go
I
ahead.
have a question. Did you do that on all the same layout?
Yeah, watch this. Watch. When I click on the layout, I'm going to hide the template first. Watch when I click the layout. Oh, it ended up on the background. How did that happen? Let me click on them. Okay, and let me drag them up to my layout. There you go. Now they're on the layout. Okay?
Okay.
Somehow or other, I thought this was selected, but somehow or other it ended up down here. So basically now it's on the layout. Yes. And that's what you want, because what's going to happen is I'm going to come in later and I'm going to show you how to make that background. But what I thought I would do first is I would come in and I would render the page, as much of the page as I could get. I want to render at least most of it. If I don't render all of it, I'll render at least most of it. And then I want to show you how to create the background. And I also want to show you how to export this properly to send it to me. So that's really what I'm gunning for right now. And again, see, if I want, I can just adjust this frame a little tiny bit here. I don't know whether I can actually adjust it or not. I guess what I could do is arrow it over. That's what I need. Let's try that. That's probably a little bit better, although I probably can go over a little more. Yeah, it's a little bit better. I'm trying to get that to line up. If I come in closer, there, you see, it's not quite on the money yet, but I can go like this. And there you go. Now it's on the money. See what I was trying to do?
Yes.
Right. View, fit art,
Yes.
and view, zoom out. Up, right, zoom out. That's good. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back and show the template. I'm going to put this third little image in. Then I'm going to place the logo in. I actually created this logo as an EPS file. You'll see in the recording at the beginning where I do this, and I do it in Adobe Illustrator. All right.
Okay.
So once again, I click here and I grab my little shape and I drag my little shape down here to create something that is about the same size. I click red for the stroke and I make it 4 point, okay? And then maybe what I do is I come in here and I move it over until it lines up the way I want it. That looks really nice. View, fit, page in window, and zoom out. And boom, there we are. File, place, right? Because I'm putting an image in there.
Mm-hmm.
Smoothie 3. This is Smoothie 3. That's the one. Hit open. And there it is. Again, too small. But if I have my selection tool, I can click here, hold down the shift key. It also, yeah, it's on the right layer. Click and drag this guy until it actually comes in and fills this thing the way I want it to. Probably like that. I made it a little bit bigger. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to move it up a bit. That's good. And over until I get that little, there we go. That's it. There we go. Okay? So those are my images. And I would say that they look close enough to the original that we're working with. Do you agree?
Yeah.
Okay. Just keep in mind, though, this is a very important point. I just want to mention this to you again. We are using these images in this layout to just sort of test the waters and get used to working with Adobe InDesign. These images would not be any good if we were really producing this for our customer. So what we would have to do is we would have to go back to the customer or whoever gave us these images, and we would have to make sure that they were able to give us bigger images because they are too small. They don't have the correct resolution. They don't have the correct size. I did mention that all the way through the course here, or all the way through the, demonstration that I've been giving. But it's very important that you guys understand that, all right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so now I'm going to come in and I'm going to place another rectangle down in the bottom here. And this one can be a little bit bigger. And I'll make sure that I'm on my right, I'm on my layout layer. That's good. Once again, I'm going to go File, Place, and I'm looking for Oster logo. There it is. There it is. See it? And I'm going to hit Open. And my Oster logo comes in. Now, the Oster logo is huge. So what am I going to do? I am going to go to the Object menu, and I'm going to go to Fitting. See where I am?
Mm-hmm.
Object menu, Fitting. I'm going to fit content proportionately. See it?
Mm-hmm.
I click, and you see what it did? It reduced it down. Now, let me zoom in so we can take a look. So you see, it's reduced it down. It isn't quite right. It's still a little bit big. So what am I going to do? I'm going to click on this thing, and I'm going to try to move it in position somewhat. And I'm going to make it a little bit smaller by holding down the Shift key and dragging it down until I think I got it to the size that I want. Not bad. See how close I am?
Mm-hmm.
And I would say, frankly, that's close enough. I mean, really, that's close enough. We don't have to be any closer than that. Now, what I'm going to do is get the regular selection tool, click on that box. Once again, I'm going to go to Object, Fitting, and I'm going to fit the frame to content. And you see what it did? It shrunk the box down to where it fits beautifully on the content. Very professional, very clean. All right? Go to the View menu, and let's go Fit Page and Window. And what I want to do real quickly is hide the template, and you can now begin to see my layout taking shape. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So do you get the sense of what we're doing? We're using these boxes. And these boxes are essentially the elements that we are going to be placing on the page. And we can do things to these boxes, like we can put strokes on them, and we can adjust the size of them, and we can make the objects fit in a number of different ways. So that's essentially what we're doing. And we're working with graphics which are vector-based, like this Oster logo down here. And we're working with bitmaps, which are these pictures here. And in a minute, we're going to work with some text. I'm going to show you how to work with some text. So what this layout program really does is it takes elements from other programs. The photo images come from Photoshop. We modify them in Photoshop, save them as a file format that we bring into InDesign. And this logo down here is a really good example of the kind of graphics that we create using Adobe Illustrator, and we import that graphic into this layout program, and then we ultimately lay out pieces such as this product folder. Okay, so that's essentially what this is. Let me ask a general question to the class. Does anybody have any previous experience with Adobe InDesign? Anybody?
Just a touch from what we did with Sean Pace's class in, what was it, Design 109?
Yeah. So you did a little bit of work with it in Design 109?
Yeah, just a little bit. We brought something from Illustrator and we brought something from Photoshop. So we made something in Illustrator and worked on. We did some Photoshop work on something that we chose, and then we made a text box and then wrote down everything that we had done in both. And so that was like the basics. So we just kind of touched it.
Okay. All right. So let me ask you this. Does this seem clear enough? Is anybody having problems so far with what we're looking at here? Does it all seem relatively simple?
Simple.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Good. Okay. So now the next part of this is, let me bring the template back. And let's see if we can put a little bit of text into this now. Because this element is in good shape, this element's in good shape, this element's in good shape, and that's in good shape. So what we want to do now is we want to put some text into here. So I got the smoothies good for you. And I'm going to come over here and I'm going to start by using my type tool. Okay? And notice that when I click on the type tool, can you see the properties bar up at the top here? Do you see it change? Watch this. Can you see it now? See how it looks? If I click on that object, then it changes to things that you can do to that object. If I deselect that, it changes to basic instruction. If I click on text, you see what it does? It changes. See it? These are all things that relate to text. So now I'm going to come over here and I'm going to click and I'm going to drag out a box. So let's say I make a box like that. Okay? And I'm going to type in smoothies, SMOOTHIES, and then enter, and then lowercase GOODFORYOD. Smoothies, good for you. See it? Okay. The fonts that they're asking us to use, I just want to read this from my script that I have here.
Helvetica and Times.
The scripts that we're being asked to use are, or the types that we're asked to use are Times, Helvetica, or Myriad. So what I want to do is I want to use for smoothies good for you, I want to use Times. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to go Times New Roman. And I am going to set the size of this to, let me try bringing it up to 72. That's probably pretty good for the word smoothies. Good for you, it's probably too big. But let me open the box up a little bit and we'll take a look. Good for you. Let's see. There we go. It's way too big. And I have a space problem here. Space, and do I have 2 in there? No, 1. Okay, good for you. This is too big. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that and I'm going to bring that down from 72. I'm going to try, let's try 48. That's too big. Go down to, let's try 36. That might be okay. Now here's the thing. This is actually set to align left like that. See it? All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this thing back over. Okay, smoothies, let's get it in place. And it looks like the font size is okay, but I think what it is basically is we're working with, on the word smoothies, we're working with a Times New Roman bold italic. Yeah. Now, do you see how it almost perfectly falls into place at 72 point Times New Roman bold italic? Can you see that?
Mhm.
Okay, now the only thing that you might want to do here is you might want to open up the spacing on this just a bit. I'm going to try 5. Can you see the spacing open up, and can you see this moving over?
Yeah.
It's actually almost perfect. So I'm going to continue going 6, and 6 is probably as good as I need to go. Check that out. That smoothies is pretty close. Now, as far as good for you is concerned, I don't think that's the right size. I think that's probably a little bit bigger. Let's try 40, 39, 40. That might be okay. And also the leading, the space between the lines is too much. So if I decrease the leading, watch it move up. See it moving up?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to move it up until I get it in the proper place. And it looks like it's pretty good, but I think it probably needs to be opened up a little bit here too. So let's try, that's too much. Well, actually, that's not too bad. 10, 11. Yeah, that's good. That's not bad. Oh, and by the way, just so that you know, this is not black. It's going to ultimately be white. So I click on this and I hit paper, and now that's white. And when I deselect that, you see it's almost perfectly on top of the other. If I hide the background, you can't see this lettering right here. Oops, I moved it. That's not what I meant to do. This lettering here, you can't see it because it's in white. But if I change it back to black, you will see it. Watch. Okay, so there you go. Now you have that element created, and you've actually created it, and I don't like the spacing here. So if I want, what I could do is I could come in and I can knock a little bit of that spacing out. Did you see me move it slightly? I'm going to do 10. That looks a little bit better, maybe even 20. Probably good. Okay, so now I have my smoothies good for you. And what I want to do with this is click on, and I want to go to the object menu, fitting, fit frame to content, and basically what I can do is I can drag this over. Okay, and we now have our smoothies good for you set up. All right? Any questions?
No.
Okay, so the next thing that we're going to do is bring our template back. This is what you're going to do. You're going to ultimately put this together. So now I need a box over here. I'm going to be putting some text in over here. So I'm going to come over, actually use the type tool, come over here, click, hold, and drag to create a box just like that. And I probably want to move that box up a little bit. Move that box up just a bit. Okay, so really what we're doing is we're building boxes. When we're working with text like this, we can use text tool to create the box. If we're putting graphics in, we can use one of these 2 graphic tools to do that. Okay, but here we're going to be putting text in. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to go into my, right here, see where it says Smoothie Blast and then the item number. I'm going to click on this and I'm going to hold this down and I'm going to go edit, copy, down, and I'm going to make sure I'm in there, and I'm going to go Control V, and I've actually pasted this in here. Okay?
All right.
So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here and I'm going to start formatting this. And to do that, I'm going to come in closer so I can get a better look at this. Okay, so there you go. And what this is, this Smoothie Blast, let's take a look at that. Or Smoothie Plus, I'm sorry. I think actually I put the wrong copy in here.
Uh-oh.
Well, that's no big deal. I can go Control Z and I can get rid of it. And then I can just come back here and let me get the Smoothie Plus. Is that what it is, Smoothie Plus?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's plus.
Okay, no big deal. I just grabbed the right text this time. All right, copy. And then
344.
Control V. Smoothie Plus. All right, so Smoothie Plus is going to be Myriad. M-Y-R-I-A-D, Myriad Pro. And that's going to be bold. Myriad Pro bold. There. Okay, it's not the right size, so we're going to try to get the right size. So it's going to be 12. Let's try 13, 14, 15, 16. That's probably pretty good. That's probably pretty good. Let me drop it down a bit. Yep, that's probably close enough for us. There you go. Myriad Pro Bold. SMOTHIE. Okay, now the next part of this is down here. This copy is also myriad, looks like. This is not. That bit at the bottom is not. That's times. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down to, let's see, and blending cap. Let's see. Okay, so it's this area here. From this point, blending cap, up until we reach the, that is also going to be Myriad Pro. So I'm going to change this to, actually, I can drop it down. And there you go. See it, Myriad Pro, right there. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to check to see if it's all right. The leading is a little bit off. So what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to increase the leading. There. That's probably pretty good. Okay? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a look at my item number. And this stuff here, I am going to use that as times. T-I-M-E-S, times, New Roman. And now it is times. Okay? That's the first thing. But what I want to do is I want to move this line down. And to do that, I'm going to come over here. Do you see where I have space? Let's see, where is it? Space before. Where are we at? That's it, space before. I'm going to click here and look at, see it moving it down? I'm bringing it down. I'm going to bring it down all the way to where it is. But in my case, I think it's a little bit low. So what I will do is I will decrease it by bringing it up until I reach right about there. Okay? And I'm going to make that bold. And the rest of these things, I'm just going to leave regular. And now what I want to do is I want to view, fit this in window. All right. And I'm going to hide my background, my template. And now I'm going to go to the view menu and extras, hide frame edges, and see what my page is really beginning to look like.
Mm-hmm.
So I have my copy over here more or less set up properly in one box. I've placed it and moved it. And I have my text up here that I've basically set up and moved it. And I'm using my background template, the thing that they gave me, for a guide to place it. Notice that mine isn't hitting exactly 100% where the other is, but you know what? It's okay. It can be close. It doesn't have to be 100% on the money. It can be close. And this would be close enough. If you sent me something that looked like this, I'd have no trouble with that. This looks pretty good. You guys understand what we're going for here?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Any problems? Do you think you guys can handle this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's 39. It's 8:39. I still have enough time to put together one more area of text, which I will do. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the background in place, and I'm going to show you how to save this with printer's marks, and I'll explain that to you. And then you will basically have gotten what I will call a bit of a whirlwind tour of InDesign and how you function with it as a graphic designer. And just so that you know, when you are creating pieces for print like this, you really should be printing or producing these things using this program. Okay, this is the right way to do it. So, and this is typical of the kind of thing that you would be doing with this. I mean, they could be much more involved in this, but this is pretty typical of the kind of things that you would do with this. So now I have my area down here. This is my last bit of text. So what I'm going to do is move this out of the way. And there's actually a little trick that I can show you here. And that is, I'm going to click on that box. I'm going to go edit copy, edit paste in place. Okay. And then I'm going to hold down the shift key and I'm going to use my left arrow to move that box over. See what I'm doing? I'm cheating, guys. I'm cheating. I'm actually cheating. You think I'm kidding? I am not. I'm cheating. I'm showing you tricks that will help make your job go faster. I'm bringing this box over here, and this one here says, let me open this up. This one here says blast instead of plus, so I'm just going to change that to B-L-A-S-T, blast, Smoothie Blast. So I got that title correct. Now this text here, the difference is my width. So I'm going to drag this over so that I get the width that I need, just like that. That's probably pretty good. And I'm going to come in here and I'm going to grab the text, Smoothie Plus, and I'm going to click on and select that text. And I'm going to hit, actually, it starts with the. So what I want to do, really, is I want to go up to the, because I'll use that the. This is tricky what I'm doing. I'm going to copy this, okay? And then I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to select all of this. Whoops, I didn't mean to move it. I meant to select it. Let's go. Oh, come on. Nothing's ever easy. Here we go. All right, now I got it. All the way up to the. And then I'm going to go Control V. And what it did was it actually replaced the text with the text that I copied. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this Smoothie Blast down a little bit. Move it back into its proper place, roughly speaking. Again, does this have to be 100% dead on? No, it should be close, okay? So there it is. You basically have this, and the only difference is down here, instead of these items, see these items right here?
Mm-hmm.
All right, these items are, I guess there's really nothing. There's not there. Let me just get rid of this. Delete that. And it's just item number and then just that SJR1X. So what you would do is you would click on there, and I guess you could hit tab and type in SJR1X. Okay? I know. Don't tell me. There we go. Okay. So the only thing that's wrong with this is it's not bold. So we're going to make that bold. And you see what I mean? This is what we might do. I think actually, let's go to the view menu and fit page and window again. And I'm going to get my my layers out. Once again, get my layers out, bring my layers over here and hide my template. And you can see that I actually look pretty consistent, don't I? What do you guys think?
Yep.
You guys think you can do this? Guys think you'll have any trouble doing this? You can move that over a bit.
No.
No, you think it'll be okay?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's two final things left to do, and then we can end for tonight if you guys feel comfortable, okay? So what we're going to do first is I'm going to show you how to create the background. So the background, let's go to the template, and remember that there's a color back there. See the color? Now that color's got to bleed, so I'm going to hide this. So the color's got to bleed 4 ways. It's going to bleed every direction. Okay, oh, by the way, click on that box and go Object Fitting, Fit Frame to Content, make it look nice. Click on that. Object Fitting, Fit Frame to Content, make it nice, okay? And then I'm going to come over here and grab my box, and I'm going to go on my background layer. And I'm going to lock my layout layer, because actually I'm essentially done with my layout. That's all done. You don't have to do anything. This was a very easy one. But I do want to put the background in. So I'm going to go to the bleed line. Remember I told you the red line is the bleed line. So I go to the top corner to bleed line, click hold, and drag all the way down to the bottom corner of the bleed. So you see where my box goes? Goes all the way around on the outside of this by 1/8 of an inch. You guys got that?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Now, the colors are in your assignment. The colors are there. And I am going to show you how to create the color for this background, okay? So I'm going to get the regular selection tool. I'm going to double click on the fill. You know what? I got to do it this way. New color swatch. All right, new color swatch. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in for cyan, I'm going to type in 15. And I'm reading this just so that you understand what I'm doing. I might even be able to show you this. Hold on, week 1 assignment. Let me go down. Okay, you see it right there? Color of background. This is in your assignment. I'm using these numbers, 15, 20, 80, and 0, okay? You got that?
Yep.
All right, so watch what I do here. 15, and then the next one is 20, and the next one is 80, and tab. The next one is 0. And the color mode is CMYK process. And when I click like this, why am I not getting it? What's going on with this? Hit OK. Hit add. There we go. Hit add. And it should be in there. There it is. I got 2 of them. I actually added it twice. Let me delete one. Hit OK. All right, so now I got this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my fill has got a stroke of black on it. I want to get rid of that. I'm going to move my fill forward. And I'm going to click on that color. And look at that. There it is.
Wow.
Okay, so there's my color. That is the color that you want to create. Now, I want to show you something real quick. This is the one that we just built together, correct?
Right.
Okay, this is the one that I opened when I came in. Does it look the same?
Yeah.
Pretty much, right? Look,
Yeah.
go back, there it is. Go back, there it is. I mean, hardly any difference to them. So I just created this thing without the benefit of looking at this by just coming in here and using my template. I'll hide this by placing a template and building all of my elements over top of my template, and now I have this thing completely built. So that is what I want you guys to do. And I want you to go in and I want you to correctly fix this Oster logo as an EPS as I show you at the beginning of our lesson. And I also want you to go in and change these to CMYK. Now, there's one thing left for me to do, and we can call it a night. I mean, I'll give you the chance to ask me any questions that you want. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to go about sending this to me as an Adobe PDF. All right?
Okay.
Okay. File, and I'm going to go export. So it's file, export. You got it?
Mm-hmm.
Click. And I'm going to save this on my desktop. And see right at the bottom here, I am going to change, I'm going to call this Oster Sheet, O-S-T-E-R. Now, the instructions tell you, let's see, where does it say what to do here? It tells you to, good God. Yeah, well, it tells you basically to send it to me with your name. So I'm going to put S-W-E-E-N-E-Y, and then I'm going to put underscore, and then Oster PDF. That would be good. That would be fine. So you understand? So I know who it is that's sending it to me. Make sure you put your name on it, and then it's just an Oster. You can call it, if you want, Oster Sheet underscore S-H-E-E-T or Sweeney Oster, whatever, but it's a PDF. Now, there's different PDFs. There's a PDF interactive, a PDF print. You want the PDF print. Make sure that you choose PDF print. You got that so far?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm just saving it to the desktop. I'm going to hit save. And there you go. Now, here's the deal. I want you to take a look at this. If this were real, if this was something that was really going to a printer, I would have to come up here and I would have to make sure that press quality is selected. You see it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, press quality. Now, here's what it says. Watch this. Use these settings to create Adobe PDF documents best suited for high quality pre-press printing. So that is why you want to use press quality, unless your printer tells you something different, which I doubt he will. For our purposes, though, you can just go high quality print, use these settings to create Adobe PDF documents for quality printing on desktop printers and proofers. Created PDF documents can be opened with Acrobat and Acrobat Reader. All right, so basically you're just going to, the page range is all because there's only one. The rest of this stuff you don't have to worry about, but let's go to the marks and bleeds. Okay, see on the left here where it says general compression, marks and bleeds?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I want to show you these. Click on that, and I'm going to show you the printer's marks. So right here where it says marks, I'm going to check all printer's marks. Now, what that means is it's going to set me up with print marks, bleed marks, registration marks, color bars, page information. Now, I used document bleed settings So I'm going to include my document bleed settings. At the very beginning, do you remember me setting up my document and putting in 1/8 of an inch bleed on the document before I opened it? And when we opened it, you got the red line. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's what I'm talking about. And remember, I also made a slug area.
Right.
Okay, so you need to include the slug area. Why? So that all these marks have a place to be put. So I'm going to click Include Slug Area. Okay, so you see what you got to do here?
Yes.
And I'm going to hit Export. And now it's done. I'm going to minimize this, and I'm going to try to find it. Let's see if I can find it. I can never. Here we go. No, it's not it. That's not it.
Poster. It's in the middle.
Where? No, that's not it.
That's not it.
No. Give me a second. I'll find the darn thing. Where did it go? This always happens. Where are you? Oh, man. This can't be Aqua Card. No. Where did it go? It went somewhere. Here it is. That's it right there. Okay. So I'm going to double click this, and it's going to open in Adobe Acrobat Reader. Look at that. It's a thing of beauty. Now, check this out. This is where the rubber hits the road. What I was talking about is, you see this white area out here?
Yep.
All that white area is your slug area. The reason the slug area is there, so that you can put this grayscale bar, the color bar, and these crop marks, and these registration marks. For the, if we didn't have the slug area, we wouldn't have a lot of room to put all this stuff in. This print, when it gets printed, you see those little inside lines there?
Mm-hmm.
That is what they use to cut this thing out.
Right.
In the end. So this piece here is what is known as a piece of print-ready artwork. This is correctly done so that it can be sent to a printer. The printer will be able to produce this correctly. The reason that these color marks are here is because this gets printed in CMYK, cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. Have any of you ever heard of CMYK printing before?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so essentially what CMYK printing is, where you take the yellow, the cyan, yellow, magenta, and black, and they're on separate plates. They take this image apart onto 4 color plates. They align them onto a press. They ink the press up. They run them 4 colors, one on top of another, and after they get it all done, it looks like your nice piece that you have here. So this is what you ultimately are going to be sending me.
Right.
Are you guys cool with this?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yes.
You're sure?
Yeah.
Excellent. That's great. Okay, so you know what? I'm basically done for tonight. Let's see if I can find my little, where's my little window here? Participants, here we go. Did I close? There we go. Yeah, I'm done. You have any final questions? Now is the time, or forever hold your peace.
I've got one question.
Go right ahead.
Is not exactly with this, but it's with, when I went into InDesign, I did something, and what it did was it went in and updated all of my, it updated InDesign and everything. And it took a while for it to do it. It updated Illustrator, Photoshop, InDesign, the whole thing. I don't know if it was because of the
Did it hurt anything? Did it hurt the programs at all?
No, it updated everything.
Okay. You know what I think it is? You know what I think it is? I think that on your computers, you guys have Creative Cloud.
Yes, that's what it was.
So let me explain what happens with Creative Cloud in this tool as I believe it to be. Periodically, they update these programs. And when you connect to the program online, when you're online, it sends a message out to Adobe or to wherever it sends it. I assume it goes to something connected to Adobe. And what happens is if there are any updates, they automatically send the updates into your computer, and they automatically update the program.
Okay, because that's what it is.
That's what it is. I'm pretty sure that's what it is.
Yeah, because it took a while, because I had to shut down InDesign. I had to make sure Photoshop was shut down, everything, so it could update all of the programs, the Flash, Dreamweaver, everything.
Cool. Well, that's a good thing. That's a good thing.
Yes.
Yeah, it's very good. Yeah, so you should probably be in good shape. As long as it doesn't foul anything up, you should be in good shape. So I guess
Right.
my final question would be, do you guys feel that you are ready to take this thing on and make it happen?
Yes.
Good, good.
I have a question.
Sure, go ahead. Absolutely.
Part, but is the layout in the directions for the bleed and the edge and the slug and that other field?
No, it's not in your, see, that's the reason that I do this demonstration, because when they set up your instructions, they don't give you every single detail as to how to do this. It's my job.
I missed that first little part. I saw everything else, but that first little part.
Oh, here's the thing. You guys probably came in late. If you watch the entire recording, or at least watch the first hour of the recording, you're going to see that I explain a little bit about how to work with Photoshop, a little bit of how to work with Illustrator, and then I go in and I explain how to work with Adobe InDesign to create the document.
Okay. Will that be up right away, or do we have to wait till tomorrow?
I'm going to try to get it out by the end of the night. If I can't get it out by the end of the night, it'll be out by tomorrow, definitely.
Okay.
All right. All right. Very good. Thank you.
No problem at all. Are you guys all good now?
Yep.
Okay, so what I guess I'm
Absolutely.
going to do is I'm going to stop recording now. Hold on. And, wrong one. What am I doing here? Share screen. Hold on, I hit the wrong button. Wait a minute. Give me a second. Get back here. Come on. Share screen only. Okay, and I'm going to come up here to